Hello lovely people, so I'm back. Right then, it is the 31st of May and I realise that I have not been online for about 3 months, and there have been all kinds of surgery related, health related, worry, fear related reasons. So here we go. The last video I made was 7 days after surgery, and now I am 3 months and 2 weeks after surgery. And a lot has gone on in that time. So I'm going to try and get through all the bits and pieces as quickly as possible, and I will have labelled this video appropriately to make sure that everyone knows what it is and what's going on. So when I had my surgery, they took out a rather large mass from along with everything else, and the mass that they took out had doubled in size since it was first scanned in December. I may have said some of this already. I'm sorry if I've already said it and I'm repeating myself. So when my ovary twisted in December, they did an MRI and found a lump on the ovary that looked to be about 8 centimetres. And when they took it out 8 weeks later in February, it had doubled in size to over 16 centimetres. And it was a clear cell carcinoma. It was a quite rare, from what I understand, an aggressive form of cancer that doesn't respond very well to chemotherapy. And it is, bad. So it was around, where are we? It was early March. So it was about 3 weeks after surgery that all the biopsy results and everything was finally in, whereby the doctor could give me some clear answers and some clear diagnosis. And I didn't share any of that before because I couldn't, I struggled to say the words, really. Cancer is a hard word to say when you're applying it to yourself or someone that you love. So I had ovarian cancer, and there was massive risks that went along with that it had spread. And when they do a hysterectomy and they take everything out, they check all the other areas. So my right ovary was the one with the mass, but they check the uterus and the cervix and the other ovary when they take it all out. And then there's a layer of tissue that kind of goes around the outside that's called the omentum. I'm potentially saying that wrong. But if the cancer has ruptured or spread or whatever, and if it goes into that particular layer of skin, you know that it's fast moving and all the things. So on the 9th of March, I had my biopsy kind of diagnosis and chat with my surgeon, and he was happy that he didn't want me to have chemo. And so was I. All the other areas of the uterus, cervix, ovaries and all that, other than the big area, were all showing signs of being clear. And the omentum and all the fluid that they'd taken out, because they test everything, was also showing signs of being clear. So my surgeon said on the 9th of March, I am happy that we've removed everything, and, including with all the surgery, but he's happy that they'd removed all the cancer. And now we just had to wait the 3 months for 2.5 months, 3 months, for everything to kind of calm down so that I could have a load more bloods done. Now, when my bloods were initially done in December, my ovarian cancer level detector cells in my blood, the CA125, came back elevated at 98. And a regular person, with a normal blood count, when they're checking for your cancer cells when you're checking for ovarian cancer in your blood, if you fall anywhere between 0 and 35, that's within the normal range. So mine was elevated. When I was in the hospital in December, for those 2 days, they had put me on 2 days of coamoxiclav, and they'd managed to get the cancer cells in the blood to drop by 8 points. And just having high cancer cell markers doesn't necessarily mean you've got cancer. It can mean all manner of other things. It can mean infection, it can mean endometriosis, it can mean all things. In my case, it was cancer. So today, this morning, was my first 3-month check, And that's one of the reasons why I haven't made videos up until now, because I was just trying to put one foot in front of the other and kind of get through and be normal. This morning my blood levels came back at 30. So everything's settled down, and my surgeon is happy that I am back on a level playing field, that I am cancer free and can move forward. My checks will continue. I've got another one in 3 months, and then I think I'll move 6 monthly every 5 years, or we'll see as my surgeon decides. So these last 3 months have been quite an emotional roller coaster ride and a physical roller coaster ride. As far as recovering from the hysterectomy is concerned, the very short answer is I was pretty much flat for the first week at home, and I needed help with just trying to get off the furniture. I was a constant turtle, flapping around on my back, needing someone to kind of help me up. Getting up, sitting down, laying down and moving around and sleeping was all pretty horrendous for the first 3 weeks, as to be expected after that type of surgery. As far as the emotional state is concerned, all I can say to you is talk to people that you trust, talk to someone that you love, and if you don't want to burden them, talk to the oncology nurses. You will get assigned the minute there is a cancer issue. You will be given contact details of oncology nurses, and do ring them, do talk to them. That's what they're there for. They want to help you. Let my advice after my own experience would be to let the feelings kind of come. Be angry, be sad, be happy, be all the things, and let yourself feel it, because I think it's the only way to move forward. We chose to kind of not keep it under wraps, but we knew that it wasn't good when I was going in for surgery. But when we got the biopsy, the all clear biopsy result on the 9th of March, then we kind of explained more to our children kind of what was going on and how it looked like things were getting better and, going the right way. So when someone says ovarian cancer, when someone says cancer, your brain kind of shuts down, and there is a weird pattern of fear, and then your mind suddenly, or my mind suddenly, went into trade mode. It went into making trades with everything. What could I trade for everything to be all right? In my mind, I'm like, and your body does this, I'll take it really easy. I'll do all the things. We'll heal everything. And it's easy for me to sit here and say, don't dwell. If you can possibly help it, don't dwell. You will, but try and catch yourself, and try and push the negative and the dark thoughts. Try and just push them all away. And that's an impossible ask, but it will help you. It will help you to sleep at night. And if you feel sort of emotional, and let yourself feel it all. From my point of view, having the hysterectomy, by the end of the first week, the hot flashes had kicked in with the menopause. By the end of the second week, the hot flashes were horrendous. And by the end of the first month, as my body was starting to feel better physically, the menopause was kicking my backside in every other way. My hot flashes seemed to be worse whenever I laid down. So as long as I was moving around, the hot flash would kind of sweep up, and sometimes I'd kind of lose my thread of my sentence, but for the most part I was able to just kind of keep going. But the minute I became horizontal, that it seemed to be one permanent flash. I couldn't sleep. The insomnia was pretty bad, to be fair, but I was determined to kind of push through. Halfway through month 2, the lack of hormone in the body had started to show that all my skin had started to kind of itch and rashy. I was losing quite a lot of the hair, and it was just odd. And I had a chat with my doctor. I thoroughly encourage you to go and do that. Have a chat with your doctor, have a chat with your nurse, someone knowledgeable that knows, not your Auntie Hilda who thinks that, purely because there's so many new forms of HRT on the market now. And I had a chat with my doctor, and she basically said, don't struggle. There's no need for you to struggle. She said that, when menopause kicks in naturally, the estrogen is already started to drop at stages, but when you have hysterectomy-induced menopause, it's just gone. You wake up and all the estrogen's gone, and your body kind of goes into panic mode. So at the end of month 2, I opted to go on some hormone patches, and I went on estrogen-only hormone patches, which they don't advise you to do if you have a womb, because obviously there are risks of womb cancer and things like that. Well, I don't have one of those. So I went on a low dose of estrogen only patches, and within 3 days I felt like a new person. So I suppose that's one of the things I can sort of say to you. Do get the advice. Do read all the information that you can surrounding HRT, but do it from reputable sources. So, the NHS has got a great website of information for that kind of thing. And don't think that you have to struggle on through, because you don't. And don't think that you should, brave it out. Because if you're recovering from this type of surgery or any kind of chemotherapy or that kind of thing, don't struggle when you don't have to. Your body's trying to do enough. Your mind is trying to do enough. And, protect your emotional well-being where you can. Menopause in any form has certain side effects. And for me, one of those has been being hungry all the time. I'm hungry all the time. So I am trying to work out ways to, not to not become 50 stone, I suppose. I'll let you know how I go with that one. Menopause isn't fun. It's not. The patches have made it much, much better. I healed from my surgery pretty well as to be expected. I had a small problem with where the incision crossed through my cesarean section scar, and it really struggled to heal. And that was around about week 10. I ended up seeing the skin viability nurse. I didn't even know there was such a thing, but she was very, very knowledgeable, very, very helpful, and gave me a particular type of iodine dressing that helps the skin to, there's a word and I can't remember what it is, but the dressing's fantastic, absolutely. And I had to change them once every 3 days, and the wound then started to heal quite quickly. The whole incision healed, the majority, of the incision healed virtually within the first week. It was all fine, but just that small section that crossed over my C-scar, there was always going to be trouble there. So we've managed it. But again, we're back to ask, don't struggle, and don't lay there and worry. So this is a shorter update from me today, because my mind is kind of everywhere, because I had my all clear this morning, and I'm just so relieved and happy and grateful and all the things. And while those feelings of elation were fresh in my mind, I just thought I'd make this little video and come to YouTube and share it, because one of the things that I can say about kind of documenting my journey this way is that I'll always have it. I think it was really hard to go to the hospital this morning for my appointment, because obviously the worry is so great that the cancer levels hadn't dropped, and that that we were going to be back to square one, back to where we started. And that same old fear sweeps in, and you forget about it. You come home after surgery, you're concentrating on getting better, and then I had the biopsy and it was good news, and then you push through and you just live each day at a time, and you think everything's going to be fine, everything's going to be fine. And slowly, all those small niggles that were about before, they all start to creep back into life, and you let those same small niggles bother you. And then this morning we drove to the hospital, and as we were driving up there, that same sweeping fear that you feel when you hear that cancer word the first time, it comes crashing back. And as we left the hospital today with our good news, I think the takeaway point from me that I'm going to share with you is I'm going to do my absolute best to not sweat the small stuff, because it doesn't matter. So I'm going to try and make a slightly more coherent and less kind of gushy and grateful video with a bit more fact. I'll try and make one of those in a week or so. But if you have got any questions about what I was diagnosed with, how I handled it, who I spoke to, you know, the different people within the medical profession, anything, do drop me a comment down below or send me a message or whatever. And if I can answer, I will. And if I can't, I'll try and point you in the right direction of someone that can. It's really hard to go through something like this, but you don't realise how hard it is, or at least I haven't realised how hard it was until you start to step further and further away from it. So that's my random, waffly, overjoyed update for today. I will speak to you soon, and my new byline is going to be don't sweat the small stuff, and you shouldn't either. Take care, lovely people.